sure this is gonna hit in the heart big time, but this is it. This really is it. I decided to do a second part to this after finishing everything and giving myself time to just think and reflect, and I'll give you guys a little part two with the back scoop of things, because this is the end for Metal Fight Beyblade, man. It hits in the heart. Also, apologies because I know I haven't made that many videos lately, and there's a reason for that. I'll get into that and explain that with things too. But just going back and thinking of the memories of Metal Fight Beyblade. You know, if you haven't seen part one, definitely go and check it out. I get real with a lot of stuff with it, and then just adding on with things with this. You know, you guys are big time fans and supporters, and you've made it where I've even been able to like get this far, telling like not only the story that I wanted to do for like anime battles and everything throughout all the years of Metal Fight Beyblade. Y'all know, started this April 29th, 2012. Getting Flame Bixes and Cyclone Herculeo and Skittles and a Whopper, and just filming for the first time, and a change in my life. Never could have imagined it, dude. Never could have imagined it on that day. You fast forward 13 plus years and being at this stage now, and yeah, you guys just have supported so much and allowed this to even happen, finishing the Metal Fight Beyblade story, and absolutely honored to do so. But it was crazy. I remember back in 2012, Metal Masters being big, tail end of Metal Fusion. I watched during Metal Fusion, but didn't pick up any actual base till Metal Masters. I got Galaxy Pegasus, Ray Striker, Cyber Pegasus, Fury Capricorn, Poison Pegasus, you know, and the story goes from there with Flame Bixes and Cyclone Herculeo. And for like, what, a year, I was just going around getting like the Hasbro products, because Hasbro is one-to-one with TT. Like, they messed up during Metal Fury, and of course getting into that, but you know, like during Metal Masters, Metal Fusion, Metal Masters, the way they started it off, the only thing they switched really was like the PHW bays, making them into like Legend Series bays, you know, like the Legend Series ones. So like PHW Aquario becoming Hyper Aquario, Fury Capricorn from PHW Capricorn, etc., you know. That being the main thing they switched. Besides that, it was one-to-one, and they made even their own like custom color themes for bays. But getting during Metal Masters, like, you talk about Galaxy Pegasus, Gravity Destroyer, Hell Kerbex, like Cyclone Herculeo, Flame Bixes, so many epic bays. Even like Meteor Drago Assault, you know, Absorb. Like, they made the different versions of bays and did them like one-to-one with TT. It was like golden age, man. It was really awesome. And that's when I started my channel, going around getting a lot of those bays, going to Walmart. I'd get like 20 bucks maybe a month. And I'd save it up for Beyblade. Honestly, I'd save it up to just go and get some bays and try to find deals and stuff online. Like Ultimate Meteor Drago Absorb, I found that, I think it was like $3 or something. I found that like on sale big time. It was one of my favorite Metal Masters bays in general. It was absolutely phenomenal, dude. But then like 2013, getting into things like, that's around when I got like some of my first Takara Tomy bays. I got some like 4D bays, and I got them in a trade, you know, and that's how I got my first BB10. Like, I got a bunch of stuff in a trade, and then saw that like, oh man, TT or Takara Tomy, they make them in Japan, and they're actually where they come from first. Like, they're about a year ahead with things, and that's like starting to get the pattern down then. Because, like, you know, seeing like the 4D bays, and they were getting into 0G at the time in 2013, and 4D or Metal Fury coming to the States. And then that's where Hasbro switched up things, where they made like the One Piece Jade Jupiter, etc., etc. It was also the same year I like went to college, and it was insane, dude, because like that's where I met Tajan, and Tajan and I finding you know, some like Big Lots exclusive recolors for like Blitz Striker and Varieris and Jade Jupiter. They were the One Piece ones, but they were still really cool recolors. And then like, I remember then Zanky reached out, and like Zanky's the reason why I have even a couple of the Hyper Blades, because like doing a trade then, and like sent him the you know, the Hasbro versions of the Big Lots bays, and then got a few Hyper Blades, which was freaking crazy, man. Because even back then the Hyper Blades, find them in stores, like they were rare. Because it was Hasbro trying to fix things, but then switching up the colors and such, and some of them not being made, but still really dope recolors in the long haul. But yeah, man, going out to college, like showing off bass to people that I didn't even know at the time in college, making a bunch of friends, literally with a battle that we did in a freaking arena that we made out of books. We just took a bunch of textbooks and put them on a table and then just started freaking going at it and launching a bunch of bass in it. And that's literally where I made a bunch of like the bass friends that I had at college, and it was insane, man. It really, really was wild. And Tajan and I just hanging out, like they were set up into suites, each of the dorms, and there was Dodge, there was like Weld, a bunch of different dorms, and we lived in Dodge, like Dodge First North, my freshman year, and like a few other guys as well as Tajan and myself, all in different rooms, and it was just like a suite. That was the way they were set up. And like his room, Tajan's room was right next to mine, so I was moving in a bunch of bays. He was the first one to figure out that like I was into Beyblade and stuff, and you know, just bringing like stuff to go and film at college, and then you know, the rest is history from there. And we had so many epic, insane battles, all the bays that we got, and like even the craziest moments that a lot of people remember being the frozen lake battles, where like we battled on Cayuga Lake. It was so cold that it naturally froze, and one day I was just like, yo, what if we went down to the lake and we like battled on the ice on the lake? He's like, let's fucking do it. And then we found a pocket one day and did some battles in it, but we had to figure out the science of it. So like it was like kind of rounded pocket. Well, we took the stadium down that day, and then I was like, let's look at the pockets and see if we could find one that fits for a stadium. And then the giant ice stadium battle happened the next day, and that is alone is a video that would change for it. I think that still to this day is the biggest Beyblade video I've ever had on this channel, and I'm absolutely honored and blessed, man. Multiple millions of views. Like, you talk about a generation of people seeing that shit, and it's just unbelievable saying that. And I'm absolutely honored for sure, man. Like, Tajan and I just going down, having an absolute blast. We were fucking freezing too, because like had to layer up. Like there's so many times when like what you guys saw, it's like that ain't CGI or anything. Like that's a real frozen lake. It was fucking cold. It was hard to even launch the bays because it was that cold. And there were points where I like knocked my phone over and stuff. And it got so cold that even like my tech on multiple occasions, I had multiple phones in college, but like those frozen battles, I have to be careful doing them because they literally get so cold that they mess up the phones and like their circuitry and their operating systems and everything, you know, like it literally gets that cold. So it's like a big risk even doing those battles for you guys, and I'm much appreciated, like, and just grateful that you guys enjoy them, and I've enjoyed them over all these years. But that battle alone, like switching up things for sure, and then like all the battles that we had throughout like 2014, and then end of 2014 Tajan ended up leaving, and you know, just all the memories and stuff of Metal Fight that we had, and definitely made me sad and broke my heart. But you know, forever being friends. And even in 2017 he flew me out to Cali as a graduation gift, and that's where the Battle of the Baytubers happened, dude. That was in like 2017. That's crazy. But then, you know, like 2014, 2015, like 2013 through 2017 were my college years, you know, like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And of course you guys saw the different things with like Metal Fight was at its end. It ended while I was like in college. Like officially it ended. Like I did like my final Metal Fight bay hunting and stuff while being in college, and then it transitioned from Metal Fight to Burst in 2015. So like you had like that time period where like there wasn't anything from Beyblade that much, and then you know, things coming back with Burst and finding out the news of that, and then getting like Wyvern Arm Massive, Dust Scyther, Oval Excel, my two first bays, and then like you got like Valkyrie and Spriggan, and getting like the single layer bays after that. But that'll be more for like Burst stuff, because you know this is gonna happen for Burst as well, just Metal Fight giving it its roses. And that's why with the Burst stuff putting a little bit on pause, because there's plenty to say about that, but it's about like Metal Fight getting its roses and its flowers one last time. So yeah, you know, still doing Metal Fight stuff, because with Metal Fight, for the rest of the time I did the skits. That's when I made the skit series. It was like 2014, got inspired by Unicorn Extreme GT and his skits, and you know, Tasia and I just screwing around and making all kinds of videos and stuff, and that's why I started making a couple of just like fun skits out of nowhere. And then of course at the end of 2014 my older brother passed away, and channeled a lot in that time period. Like literally after that happened, made some more skits, and that's where like the Bull character was made. And Tasia and I made Jade Bull as like just a fun bay that like we're trying to make the worst Beyblade combo ever. That literally, no matter what you put in against it, it's probably gonna go down. And then we like did Jade Bull, no disc E230, so E230 without the disc, and MS. So like it just went around, and you know, it was that fun bay. It was like a stamina type, but then like it was Hasbro Jade as well, so just uppercut big time, you know. It was that bay that no matter what, even did battles with it, it got ping ponged around all the time. And then got kind of inspired by that with like, yo, we made this bay like this, and especially when Tajan left and like having Bull and everything. And he also left the bays that he got to me, which I'm forever honored and grateful, dude. So it's like, I know I'm saying I'm going to split up bays into videos and such, making mods and stuff, and they'll be for sale, not my whole collection but a big chunk of it. It's like memories, it's special. It's even like my energy, Tajan's energy, legendary energy that just has been put out into the world in the aether. So yeah, whoever gets their hands on the bays, you know, they're going to be very special. I want to make sure they go to good homes. Like I said, not all of them, but a bunch of them. But I'll get into that like towards the end, of course. Because like where do we go from here? But yeah, man, it's wild just thinking back. The skit started then and got inspired to make like the worst Beyblade ever slowly become like one of the strongest Beyblades ever. And then even the way that the skits went, it was crazy, dude. So of course having like Bull, and then made the siblings like Orion, you know, and Sagittario, and then also like Susan being their sister. So Susan being Unicorno Extreme GT's, like, you know, Bakushin Susano, we called her Susan. And then also like Unicorno being a part of things too, because like him inspiring the skits. So I had to have him as one of the big time characters for it, you know. It was like that setup of like a team, you know, like some kind of world championship like team type of stuff, except like they all trained with one another. If you go back and watch just the plot for the skits, I can sum it up even with this. If you want to go back and watch the Metal Fight Beyblade skits, forever honored you guys enjoyed the story. Go back and watch it and everything with it. And if there's anybody that's watching this that's like seen the skit series or been into the skits, like let me know who are your favorite characters, or your favorite moments, or moments that you just remember from the skit series, because there were a lot of them. It ended up being like 300 total episodes, the first one being 200 episodes, and that was like remaining college years, like from 2015 to 2017. You know, like the summers being home, all the semesters just going and being at college, and the memories and everything created. I went on like different trips with it, multiple trips to New York City. So even like made skits and like the old Toys R Us before it shut down in New York City. Like a lot of just crazy moments, man. Like the skits were literally like my diary. Like I went on family visits, I went and traveled, and it was around the time like the Battle of the Baytubers and everything. I did an actual rap for an event called Burlesque at my college, and I made a rap for it, and like fully just showed off everything on my channel, because I had like 14,000 subscribers at the time in 2017, which crazy that even got to that point, man. It went from like 1,000, and then more you guys joined, and then it hit like I think 10K at the end of 2016, something like that. And that's when we hit 10K. It was surreal, dude. Like all the support you guys have given throughout all the years, I'm absolutely honored and privileged and just so grateful. Because you guys, none of this could have happened without you guys' support. And you literally made it where like we changed the world. You know what I mean? It's not just me with this. It's everybody who watches this. It's everybody who's been a part, like Tajan, anybody who's supported me with it and been a part of some crazy, crazy moments, man. Just being like, yo, this all happened. And even being like, these legendary moments happen throughout Beyblade history, and saying that I got to be like a part of it or even see it is just wild and surreal. You guys, like TMS Beyblade, literally having the votes for like those who shaped the Beyblade community, like BBG, Illinois Zanky, JoJo, 1234 Beyblade, and that myself was put in there. That's insane. That's, you talk about an award that hits in the heart, that is like so prestigious, and like even being mentioned in that list of people, like those are they're all the goats. They're all the goats, legends, absolutely changed the world of Beyblade forever, been around for such a long time, even inspired me. And like, holy shit, like, thank y'all so much. I know I'm going around a little bit with it, but it's just crazy thinking of all the memories and everything. Like, even getting back into the skits, like, I use the most extreme conditions, you know. I live in New York, and if you live in New York, you know, like, the conditions get wild. Like fall, winter, spring, summer, you see the absolute apex of all of them. It gets so hot in the summer, the fall time, with all the foliage and the leaves falling, like you guys see now with the background. Winter time, it gets like absolute sub-zero cold, crazy amounts of snow everywhere. Yeah, and then like springtime, you see it melt. It's literally like the balance of all the different seasons to their like extremes, and it's really wild. And wanting to use and showcase that over all the years, there were points where like battles were like, I got so cold I went in, I could hardly like move my fingers or anything. There were a couple times honestly that like I went in and it was like the switch in my body. I had to like take off the clothing slowly, because if I didn't, it would have like the body would have went from like holy shit, like the cold to just like the warmth and everything too quickly, and I had to let my body regulate, taking off layers. It was wild. Even looking back, like that, I was able to like battle and stuff in those conditions, and it being scary because tech, you know, it's cold, so it's like you have the chance of like messing up your technology. I think I mentioned earlier, like with the frozen lake battles, or like I even did them after the first one we did with that Tasia and I did, and then tried to do them years after that, but then it didn't get cold enough to where it could happen. So like I did some of like the pond where I used to live, and stuff like that, because there were points where like I couldn't pull it off because like it wouldn't last that long, and it was dangerous even walking out on the ice, because it's like, you know, it's got to be thick enough, because if it's not, you could have the cracks and then possibly like it breaking and then falling through and frozen water. Yeah, no. So just got to be very careful with that. So, you know, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun doing that. I love you. My girlfriend just said I love you, and she said no. But wait, I gotta go get a kiss. All right, I'm back. But with the skits, it was like I didn't write down in diaries, honestly, too much. And the way I let it out and found a way to do so is just by filming on here. So when I say like a lot of the stuff you guys see on here is really like my diary, that's the honest truth, because there are points where like growing up and not being too vulnerable with emotions and not talking to people that much, finding like an oasis or oases to let it out, you know, in a healthy manner. That way you can actually sit and express yourself, and you're not sitting going wild thinking in your thoughts and everything. People have different ways of doing it, whether it's like reading books or like, you know, going and jogging or playing sports or getting into different hobbies like different shows or such. Like everybody has it, and mine ended up being video games since I was a kid, and Beyblade, you know, and Bakugan. Like Beyblade, Bakugan, Duel Masters, Yu-Gi-Oh, Tech Deck. Yeah, man, a lot of different stuff. You guys are seeing like the different aspects of it, especially with the Beyblade and the Bakugan on here, and now showing off the gaming with the gaming channel that I started in 2023. But yeah, just Metal Fight coming in at a very pivotal time. Like I loved Bakugan from 09 to 2012. I was a big fan, and then it ended, and then getting into Metal Fight Beyblade and starting the channel and everything, and it's always had a special place in my heart. Beyblade and Bakugan both have. But the skits being another way, I guess, to like channel all of it, because going through college, losing a lot of close like family members, had friends pass even like the first semester that I went out to college in 2013, and processing all of those different things. I think my skit series helped me to do so, and subconsciously helped me to do so that much more than I could ever imagine, and that's why the story's that much more special, because like losing like my brother, other family members, changes like pivotal moments throughout life with like college and everything, growing, going from my teens into like early 20s, and sitting and processing a lot of different stuff, getting my degree in college, doing my thesis, and then like finishing my thesis in 2017, graduating from college, and everything with that, like the skits and the story of it, like processing a lot of different things with that as well. And then even that summer afterwards, it was like immediately after graduating, and Burst was like a thing. It started up, you know, it was around like season 2 with Burst. But like Zanky coming out and visiting, like Zanky and his dad went all the way out to where I lived, and we had a collab, and that's the first time I met Zanky. And that was like the first thing that happened after I graduated from college, like a big event. Because I had a feeling, like, after graduating college, I was like, so, like, things are going to get wild. Like, things are going to be, like, something incredible is going to happen. I just felt it in my gut. It's like, I actually managed to get my degree, and just the universe is going to send some good things along. And Zanky and, like I said, his father, God bless his soul, and his mother, they all came out and, like, traveled out. And we had the collab where, like, we were sitting in front of the pavilion, and then he, like, gave me a bunch of different, like, season 1 Burst bays from Hasbro, because that's when it started up under Hasbro, was around then. And dude, it was surreal. It was absolutely surreal. And then doing battles and such with him, it was so cool. It was so fucking cool, man. And I'll never forget it. I had like my college gear on for that video as well, and like it was insane. Absolutely insane. And then I got to meet like his father on multiple occasions. God rest his soul. And it's crazy, man. It's like making videos on here, it's literally something timeless about it, no matter what. Like, you know, you got videos that, like, obviously you got rules and everything you gotta sit and do, but like every video is special. It's literally a page of a book of everybody's story that they're writing on here, and they do so in their own way. Like, we're all writers in our own way, just with video and how we do it on here, or no matter what community we're in. And even the fact that we have people like in this community that Beyblade's is popular, whether you're a fan of Plastic Gen, Metal Fight, Burst, or X, yeah, all are special, and everybody has their stories and such on here. And I'm honored to have even like made the story that I have for Metal Fight Beyblade on here, man. Like, so much went into like the skits. It was just that thing of like, it was loose plot with it as well. I just kind of like had bays. I'm like, okay, setting up a plot, bays separating, getting stronger, turning back, big time battle with all of them uniting, evil forces coming in, big time build up of that to find out the true strength of this evil power, and then like paying homage to the show, also putting my own spin on it, bringing out elements of this show that could have been capitalized on more, that would be really, really cool. So like, you know, the Dark Cyborg Dragon, if the dark power never truly vanished, but then it continued to manifest away from El Drago itself, and then became like its own entity that was powerful. And then the same thing with like Nemesis coming back and being even stronger than he was during like the Nemesis crisis and stuff like that, with new heroes, old heroes from the show and everything, you know what I mean? And it being like a full endgame type of feel with Metal Fight Beyblade, with like 4D Metal Fury vibes, you know, like some Nemesis crisis vibes with that, going even further with it. And then like, you know, the whole showdown with like the Ultimate Cyborg Dark Dragon, the Gods of Ultimate Destruction, and Bull and all of his friends and such, everybody coming together, being super strong. With that battle, like the Skit 100 battle, Deathwolf won it. And I made that combo as like an evolution of Tajin's Earthwolf, because he had a special Earthwolf combo that kicked ass back in the day. Anybody who remembers, it whooped ass. But yeah, made like an evolution for that, like Deathwolf, and it won that whole tournament with the Skit 100. And it was one of the last bays left, and like at the end of the skits, it ended up being Bull, who was the absolute strongest. That you know, he lost and then came back and like evolved in the time of need. Like, everybody put their power together, like how everybody's power was needed on the planet in order to take out Nemesis the first time. And then also this dragon, like everybody in Hades, I called it, because that was where all the spirits were sent when they were defeated, sent to Hades, all of their power coming together, strengthening Bull in the remaining bays, and then them winning it overall. And then making like a little epilogue for it, where like Bull and Wolf, you know, because like Unicorn Extreme GT had a skit of like the baby, and seeing that, like, you know, Susan and Unicorn having a baby, you know, and like playing on that a little bit and paying homage with him. But then like Bull and Wolf had a baby, and then like the kids showing up at the end of the skits, because then like, you know, the other bays went off and they donated their power to the future, and then their spirits ended up going to Hades because everything was safe. So, you know, it was like Unicorno, Bull, Wolf, the immediate bays, and then their spirits going to Hades, but then passing on their power to the future generation, which led to the Zero G skits, which take place 7 years after those ones, because in the show, 7 years after the Nemesis Crisis, that's when Zero G or Shogun Steel happened, with them rebuilding the world. So doing an homage to that, and like a little bit of like these skits all take place in an alternate timeline, if you will. So basically, they all happen where everything happens in the Beyblade world in the same timeline. So like how Hasbro and TT, like they imply that they're kind of different ones. They brought it back with X because they mentioned like old protagonists with Quinn, so they kind of bring the timelines together with that. But mine actually do that. So Plastic Gen, Metal Fight, all those gens happened, and then after Metal Fight ended, that's when my skits take place for Metal Fight. But yeah, after my first skit series, the second skit series with Zero G, it's like 100 episodes. I do like a whole epilogue type of thing where there's like remnants of the first series, Metal Fight, like the kids and such being around, but that being basically it. But then you got like the Oracle Incarnate, who's been trapped in like Hades. So like Hades having like the astrology of it, like the cold, icy side of Hades, but then also like a hot hell part, you know, that people know. But like playing on that, like the fire and the heat. But then the Oracle being trapped in like basically this temple made out of ice and stone down in the cold part of Hades, but then breaking free and using the elements like snowstorms and everything to show it off. Like I had to break out of icicles and stuff for that, like using the elements to actually like help with things with the plot of the show, and it made it that much more exciting. There was a time where I was filming and a bolt of lightning came down, and it was insane, dude. Like like you go back and look at the sketch, you'll see there's some wild fucking moments that I can never ever even like duplicate in words, but it was insane, man. Some things were just like magical moments that happened and couldn't be duplicated. But yeah, the same thing happened with the Zero G or Shogun Steel skits. Elements of like the first gen, you know, pre-Nemesis Crisis MFB, along with Zero G, and then the build-up of like the evil characters. You had like Pegasus, and the Pegasus having like doubt within itself, because I made it also during like 2018. This was also the time period going to like the Invitational for Bakugan, which is insane to say, man. Yeah, well, beginning 2018 was later that year, but like it even inspired things for the end of the skit series. But yeah, the Oracle, who was trapped in Hades like pre-millennia, pre like Metal Fight and everything, and also like Pegasus, which the Zero G, like the protagonist, you know, obviously like Jenga, paying homage to Jenga and Pegasus is my favorite chrome wheel, so made a combo with Pegasus. But then also there is a bull, because it was a bull's kid, you know, and then those bays having their kids, and then them all meeting up, so showing the elements of Metal Fight that were still around, and then Zero G that were coming in, and then all those bays coming together and battling one another, and then learning about Synchrome, and then having like their spirits join together, like how it was during during Zero G with the Synchrome, and then some other bays evolving, like how the bays evolved in the previous series with the skits, and there's the big time build up with like the Oracle Incarnate, Balro, with the God of Ultimate Destruction, like Nemesis coming back, but then having like a Zero G version of it, because it was like the whole theme, like how Doji came back to the very end and he just wouldn't die, he wouldn't go away, so doing kind of that. So I made like Bahamdia XD, like a switch over like a that power, you know, and then the Dark Cyborg Dragon, I made like Dragoon combos, like I made Bahamdia Dragoon and like a Reviser Dragoon combo with Spin Steel, you know, and then the actual old forms coming back, so even like the original God of Ultimate Destruction, like Scythel Drago that I made, and the antagonists from the first series, having them come back, and then the new bays having to face off against them, because it's like Bull and the others, all their spirits are trapped in Hades, and it got disconnected at the end of the first series. So like a few bays being able to break through or like channel their power into the new generation, and then them all fighting together, and then it ended up being like Pegasus and the others helping to save everybody. Like Bull's son went far, but then it was like even Bull's power through his kid wasn't enough to win with this one, and then it was down to like Pegasus. So it was like Pegasus and Balro at the end, facing off, and it was dope. Like just an insane final battle. Like the track of Pegasus got broke in the middle of that battle. It was that intense, man. Like you couldn't make it up. It was insane. And also when that series ended, that went from like 2018 until 2020. So during that whole time period, you know, the Bakugan Invitational happening, the Baytuber Brawl happening, yeah, the first Invitational taking place, the second Invitational taking place, everything that happened throughout 2019, like that whole entire summer, going down for the Blader Bash, you know, with Illinois, Bolto MS, and Blast Zone Kid, and then going out to Anime Expo literally like a couple of weeks later in July, and hanging out with M Stubbs, Mako, everybody at the Bakugan booth, and then going out to EST Fest 6. It's an event hosted by Machine Gun Kelly. That was the last one that he had too. He hasn't had a fest since, and that was before like the pandemic happened. But yeah, that like holy shit. That took place. And then the Bakugan Invitational at the very end of the year, the second one, where Jet won. With all of those events, when I went, I did my skits. That's how I went. Every single big time event that I went, I tried to incorporate the skits in any way. Like it was like a bay being brought, battles happening, trying to plan that out, and I just kind of thought of them on the ride, you know, like it was on the fly of like how exactly it's gonna happen. I'm like, all right, this is the loose thing, we're gonna go with it, we're gonna do it, we're just gonna make it, you know, just going for it, not overthinking it, because overthinking, like obviously sitting and thinking about shit, it's important to do, slowing down with that. There are points for overthinking if it comes to like, especially a series like that or a plot, hurts my brain, and I would have gone fucking nuts. And people wondering, did you ever sit and film things multiple times? No, not really. It was just going with the flow, and that's what made it authentic, because it was like improv and like going with things on the flow, having a very loose idea of what I wanted to do in the long term, but very loosely like getting to that point and letting it kind of navigate like a river, you know what I mean? Like navigating and flowing with the water, not trying to overthink it, because then you're trying to go against the current and trying to push different ways with things. Like sometimes you just gotta flow and trust and just navigate, and that's how it always was with the skit series. And it wasn't any different for the second one, and I wanted to have it be a series that like could never be forgotten, because it's like literally my diary. Like it's like all my thoughts and such going into it, and helping to channel things, being like my therapy, because like I said, I wasn't one to like write down or journal or anything that much. It was always just filming on here for you guys, and that's how all that creativity and stuff was just shown, I guess. And it just came out naturally, because I guess that's just kind of how I operate with things. I try to slow down with things, of course, now, because it's like, you know, you got to slow down with life and just flow. And even with the skits, trusting my gut, because if I would have sat and overfilmed all of those and gone back and done it so many times, I would have drove myself nuts. So it was just like that whole thing of going with the flow and just letting the creativity in the waters just take where the story was supposed to go. And the story built up both times how I really wanted to, even better than I could have ever imagined, and then like leading to the ultimate end that I wanted to do, that being like Pegasus winning, a few bays coming back, like, and then incorporating the Bay Gomas as well, because the history of the Bay Goma, so making a story with Bay Gomas, because I got a lot of them. I couldn't launch with like the actual string or anything. I modified a launcher to battle some of them, but yeah, I love the story with the Bay Gomas, and it's like they're the ancestors of Beyblade, so I had to pay respects to them at the very end, and it'd be like, yo, the implied story of the Bay Gomas, you know, implying the whole story that happened with them. So like, think of like a skit series that happened with the Bay Gomas. It's about using your imagination and filling in the pieces with some things. It could be like, hey, did this happen? What happened with this? And then like just using your creativity and your imagination, like that youthful imagination, I guess, you know. Imagination, in the words of SpongeBob. Not just a youthful thing, you know, but like, yeah, you know what I mean. But just going with the flow with the story of it, and then the way that it ended. The end game was always having like a crazy end game type of battle. I showed off all the bays, but didn't have all of them like battle, you know, which, because like the knockout tournament I did for the end of MFB, that's where I kind of did that, and you know, had the characters face off like the anime characters. But for like the end of my skits, I had them battle in this giant stadium, but I mainly did like the most powerfully seen bays over like the series, you know, the course of the series, because like some of the bays that just showed with their strength, with how far they got with battles and everything, and how consistently they won. But yeah, so like doing those battles at the end, and then the story with like a big campfire, a big bonfire where they're all hanging out, and then like Bull, it was like a protagonist base, like Bull, Pegasus, Z, the old Baygoma, who's like the protagonist of the Baygoma, the implied Baygoma series, and even telling the story of that with this, you know. It was cool because it was like a whole Tears of the Kingdom type of thing. So like how they told the story of Rauru and Queen Sonya and stuff at the beginning of like the Kingdom of Hyrule, and you find that out through memories, but then you're sitting with everything that's happening right now, kind of that theme, you know what I mean? Like, so I did a lot of implied story with that, with like hundreds of years ago, and the Baygomas and the battle that happened leading to that point. You know, because the Baygomas, the story of them is like they evolved, and then B or Balro evolved from the Baygoma, because like Balro, Baygoma, B, he evolved into Balro, and then, you know, the story with that carrying over with it. So the Baygomas were also key in them stopping, like, you know, the like stopping the Oracle Balro and stuff. And yeah, and also the Balro combo paid homage to Kivo, fellow, you know, Beyblade YouTuber, because like his Balro combo is always so cool, and it was very similar to how like my Pegasus was set up, and then just doing like battles between them, because I remember doing like BOB battles against, I did BOB battles against him, and like he'd do them, and I lost big time, or like they were really intense, but his Balro combo is always just so strong, and then he switched it back to like Balro, and always wanted to have that battle happen again, you know, like, and then like making the combo with Pegasus, because I love just using Pegasus flipped out itself as an attacking combo, and then building up with that. So it was like the culmination of the story with the first skits, and then also like adding on the twist with the second skits and everything with the story and 0G, and bringing out kind of more potential of it. So I like implied like, oh, the world championship happened. So in this world, between Metal Fight and my skits, to explain, 0G and Metal Fight ended on a cliffhanger, right? So like the whole world championship, DNA turning into Bridge to the Future, facing the WBBA Bladers, and then they just kind of ended it right there. So what I did in my story is that a whole entire crisis happened again. So basically, an evil power rose up, Nemesis' power managed to seep out from being destroyed. It wasn't completely all destroyed. Some of it lingered, like how the dark power lingered, and there's a whole crisis for it rising up. And then like the power got so strong that the 0G Bladers couldn't stop it. Even the legends coming back couldn't stop it. And then there was like, well, the legends implied the legendary Bladers did come back and battle it, but then this time like Ryuga came back, and it kind of tied into my skits. Like the other legends weren't able to really take it out, and it was like neck and neck, but then Ryuga comes in with El Drago, and El Drago wins it, because like I had a battle where, I'm sure people remember this, when Nemesis, it's like the Wrath of Nemesis, that playlist. It was breaking a bunch of my bays. It broke my Poison Pegasus, Flash Sagittario, Pegasus Bahamdia, El Drago Destroy. It was one of them. It was like how it was in the show, and that's what inspired some of my first skits. So like that broken El Drago faced Nemesis, and then it actually won. So it was like El Drago coming back even from being broken and winning against Nemesis, and then them saving the world, and then things calming down for that bit. But then the power Nemesis rising up again, getting stronger, leading into the first skits with Nemesis power coming back, but also the dark power coming back, because it was the same sort of premise, it not being completely destroyed and coming back. But yeah, that being the plot between like Metal Fight and my skit series with the first ones. Fast forward into the second ones at the end. I know I'm jumbling around a little bit, trying to just put in the pieces to the puzzle, if you will, because sometimes they're being out of order, which is a theme for the burst skits. you know. But I'll leave that at that, because you know Burst is still going. But with Metal Fight, the build up towards the end being a culmination of everything, all the bays and such battling, and then at the end, campfire. They had their campfire, and then they all split and basically retired, never to battle again, passing on their wisdom and knowledge to the future generation, because they're like, our roles have concluded, our generation's done, it's time for a new generation to come in and burst forward. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You know. And then with that, the build up with what led into the burst skits. So now currently with the burst skits, pieces of the puzzle, the theme of it being a bit different, where it is 100 plus years after what happened during the Metal Fight skits. So like the very, very tail end of my Metal Fight skits. That's when the burst skits happen. 100 plus time period. So it shows what happens throughout over 100 years. Over. The plus is very important, because also like plus system. It's also play on the words, because plus with how many years are included with it, and the whole theme of it being past, present, and future with the burst skits. I'll say that now, which I mean I tried to establish that with it, with what I've created thus far with it. But yeah, obviously life things and just things being really, really rough. Put a pause on the burst skit series for a while, and with AJ passing and everything happening, I just wanted to sit and be, you know, transparent. Like, that's why you haven't seen the burst skits in that long. Just keeping up with Beyblade acts and other things as well, you know, and even finishing the Metal Fight story. But everything is meant to be finished and done when it's meant to be done. You know, you can't rush it. That's how it is with life. Obviously, life's short, and even with things recently that's taught that much more, especially the last couple of years. Like, I know you guys, I told you guys about AJ passing. It was like my little brother. You know, so I lost my big brother in 2014, lost my little brother last year, lost a bunch of friends. Truth be told, whether it's been to like drugs or car accidents or just life accidents or life things, it's been tough. And you know, I wanted to finish the story, to get closure on a very, very big time, pivotal time period of my life. You know, because Metal Fight hits in the heart, and there's a lot of memories with it, with people that aren't around anymore, and even just moments that aren't here, obviously, because it's like there are moments you always try to get back to, no matter who you are, because they were amazing, they were fun. But it's also coming to terms that like moments are meant to last then for moments, but the memories last forever. But if you sit there and try to circle and cycle after moments or energy that's happened, you're going to be chasing something that you're never going to be able to get back. You know what I mean? So it's about enjoying it while you've got it, and learning that even about life, getting older. Because it's like now I'm 30 years old, and the 20s, like from my 20s to the 30s, you know, I mean, I graduated college when I was 21. That was 2017. So even from like 21 to 25 was like growing from college, finishing the skit series, insane moments, being recognized by Spin Master and also Hasbro, and I'm totally freaking honored, for sure. And all the events and everything I've been a part of, it was incredible. And even going back to 2018 with those skits, during that time period, it was the same thing. Like all the events and stuff that were going on then. The Baytuber Brawl happened then. That's also when I made my Spotify. I was on my way down to the Baytuber Brawl. That's the first time I ever used Spotify, and made one after. But yeah. That, as well as the Beyblade, you know, the Baytuber Brawl, as well as the Bakugan Invitational. And also something that I forgot to say, like I met Illinook at the Baytuber Brawl. That's where he and I like met in person for the first time, which was really, really freaking dope. And all of us just meeting and hanging out, like Illinook, Bolto, like Kivo, M Stubbs, Zenki, Jojo. I battled 1, 2, 3, 4 Beyblade while at the Baytuber Brawl, and I wish I could have filmed it, man. It was freaking awesome. It was so much fun. It was so much fucking fun. like facing one of the goats himself. And like even the same thing with Zanky. I remember I had like a Drain Fafnir yielding combo. It was like the black and red one, and I like the colors of it, and also like performed pretty decently with its stamina and LAD. It was just such a cool looking combo. Even though it did burst like a bit easier, I was like, yo, we're just gonna go with it. That was a lot of fun. Like, got to chill with like TBK, Wombat, so many legends, dude. Like Drake TV, Beyblade being there. He was so hyped to sit and meet me. It was insane, man. And yeah, I think Drake gave up blading and such after that, like around that time period or something. But like still, forever ago, and I've still got his freaking t-shirt. Just so many crazy moments. It was also wild because like that's where I took the stadium. So the stadium that you guys see, like Blast Zone Kid battling, like, you know, and on his channel, if you ever seen that video or you remember the video from back then, where like you see all the Baytubers battling in a giant stadium. This is that stadium. I wish I could have got everybody to sign it, but wasn't able to. Some of this stuff I know I mentioned in the first video, but other stuff like being put in with this, because just ending it on a note, being like talking about even just the memories and stuff with Metal Fight Beyblade, and it was very pivotal in the like even getting to this point here now, man. And even the wear and tear this stadium shows over the years. I got this in 2018, and all the battles that happened with it, there are points where I left it outside so that it would wear, because the theme of just showing time go by. And at this stage is definitely showing that, because you could see like the tape literally hung onto the walls with this until I started like the final arc of this series with like the Homage series, which is crazy that it held on that long over all those years. It still baffles me to this fucking day. It's insane, man. But yeah, insane. Like those skits, the second series went from 2018 until 2020, and we had moved from where we lived in the woods literally in 2020. Around that time period, that's when like the pandemic happened, the world shut down, moved out to the family home and started renovating it and everything. When we started doing that and we moved, that is when I ended the skits, and it felt like the perfect time to do so. Like the main story for the skits ending in those woods, but then like the epilogue being at the family home that we went and moved into, you know, and renovated. And then that was when the big battle happened, where I brought out all the bays and the most powerful bays fighting in the stadium. So then like MFB and the energy of it being transferred into the stadium, but also the energy of Burst being in the stadium as well, because of like the battles that happened with the Baytuber Brawl and everything. But even when those events happened, like the Baytuber Brawl, I made clips for the skits. If you go back and look at the skits, one of them was filmed like in the corner on the side of the Baytuber Brawl, and you hear everybody in the background battling. I had a crossover flight delay, and I had to stay in New York City for a day, well, for a night, and it was like, you know, it was scary as hell, because I had to room with somebody I didn't even know, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? And I was like, holy shit. But it was like paid for and everything, and it was honestly a wild experience. And I even made like a clip for a skit while being in that hotel. Like anything with the big time events that happen, like you talk about Faster, the Baytuber Brawl, or the Battle of the Baytubers, or Anime Expo, all those events, I tried to incorporate the skits with them by even making like a small clip. I tried to think that far ahead, to even though I was going and doing stuff for like say Burst or Bakugan or something, I had a Metal Fight Bay or a couple Metal Fight Bays packed in with me just to add with like the skits, with the story. That's how long term I thought of with it. So that's how much work goes into these skits. Like it's literally my diary, and I put my heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears, passion, all of it into it, you know. Like I think ahead even with it, and it takes a long time. It takes years. It takes a lot of storytelling and everything with it. But all that leading to the point of like those skits being done, and then pretty much being done with like those at the beginning of when the pandemic started in 2020. But then in 2021, being like, I want to go through Metal Fight Beyblade one last time and pay homage to all of it. So like PHW stuff, Metal Fusion stuff, you know, like PHW, the Legend series of Metal Fusion itself, Metal Masters, Metal Fury, Hasbro's Metal Fury, Zero G, Shogun Steel, all of them, by going through, doing battles from the show, pivotal battles from the show, and crazy moments throughout the show, and some of them being accurate to the show, and also like dream battles and such that never took place in the show, like some teams facing off against one another. So I did all the battles with all the different teams during Metal Masters, and then all the crazy Metal Fury battles and stuff, and then the Zero G Shogun Steel ones as well. And of course, Berserker Byakko, Guardian Garudas, Phantom Fenrir never being made, them finally getting made. When they were made, being able to finish the story with the main story of it, and then getting into the big time battles. And then, of course, when planning everything for it, unfortunately, AJ passed away in 2024, last year, and that put a hiatus on it. I explained that with the first video and everything, and it broke my heart. It was really, really hard getting through that. It affected me a lot more than I told anybody, because he was like my little brother. We knew each other since we were kids, and you know, like I said, this channel started with him. He sat by me and believed in me. Out of my friends, one of the first ones to sit and believe and be like, yo, this shit's cool and you can go far with it, man. I know you, and you can take this to places that nobody's ever seen. And he even told me that shit back when he was first sitting by me, when I was filming with a Burning Fire Strike Stadium with my phone in between my legs, and I'm using this tripod here. Like, yeah, he gave me this before he passed. You know, I showed it off last time, showing it off with this. This one might even be longer than the other one, but it's just ending it on a note where, like, nothing else to discuss or anything with it, or you guys know a lot of the stuff to discuss, and it'd be like, in the future, if any of you guys want to have me, like, you know, like you're talking about like having a podcast or just sitting and asking questions about things with Metal Fight or anything like that, I'd love to sit and talk about it more. You know, use these videos as reference, of course, for anything with Metal Fight, because I'd love to sit and talk about it, you know, whether it's like Metal Fight stuff or Burst stuff or X stuff, anything, you know, or even just geeking out and talking about, like, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm also like a fan of like Nintendo games and stuff, but getting into that, gonna finish this story with MFB because officially now the story is finished. I put the tentative date before, but it didn't feel right until like I made a video speaking about things at the very end afterwards about the story with MFB. But yeah, the story at the end tells itself. Finishing this homage series in 2025 after starting it back in 2020 or 2021, so it technically took like what, 4 years for doing this, but that's a 4-year project that is coming to a close with just this one. But MFB in general, a 13-year story that is coming to an end. There will be remnants of it going forward, because if you've seen the Burst sketch, you already know there's like some MFB homage in it, so you know you'll see the remnants of it, but solely MFB content and everything, it's all done. And yeah, with this story being finished and then doing like the dream battles and everything at the end, paying homage to Hasbro and TT, both under Metal Fight Beyblade, you know, and then also doing my series and everything and finishing off the story I always wanted to do, paying respect to the show one last time. I think that's it. Yeah, I have thought about possibly doing one last surprise battle at some point in the future, and that being a battle between possibly some of the strongest MFB bays from the anime versus some of the strongest bays from my skit series. One last showdown, but it being like a dream type thing. Maybe it'll happen. If you guys want it to happen, let me know in the comments. And you know what? I will give you guys a little bit of an ultimatum with this. And it's not one that's hard to do. My channel's been at 124,000 subscribers for some time, which I'm absolutely honored, man. Some people coming in, some people going. I know it's because, like, maybe not doing as much Metal Fight content, not doing as much Bakugan content. There's different generations and such of content on this channel, and not doing some of it maybe has deterred some people, but it will always be here. And the only story I'm fully done with is Metal Fight. Like, Bakugan, you're going to see more. Both Gen 1 and Gen 2. Am I thinking of doing Bakugan skits? I've thought about that for years. Just saying. And also, Same thing for Gen 2 Bakugan with skits. Thought about that for years, but there's already a certain story that's going on that I have to add more pieces to before thinking of that. There's some long-term projects. Getting through long-term projects makes space for more stuff, and this is a huge void now that MFB's done, you know. But obviously having Burst with the Burst skits and then the homage series that'll be happening after that. Of course, I'm going to do that. Beyblade X, the same thing. Is still being young. Bakugan Gen 1, I could do skits. Bakugan Gen 2, skits as well. But Gen 2 being more about the profiles, and maybe I'll do skits with Bays or Bakugan that don't end up being put in profiles, because I'm going to try to do profiles early until I have no cards and no Bakugan left to make profiles for. That is the plan. And also I'm MFB just filling in the gaps with holes with things with it. But yeah, as for Metal Fight Beyblade, the story is now concluded, and that would be the only way that I would come out of retirement, and that would be one time only for a special battle. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments, and it'll show you guys to watch this entire video, and so I'm honored, you know. But yeah, I gotta make sure you guys are listening. But yeah, with that being said, the story is officially concluded. This being it, April 29th, 2012 to October 15th, 2025. 13 and a half years of Metal Fight Beyblade content, solely Metal Fight Beyblade content with videos, and now it's time to retire it and put it out to pasture and pass on the energy to the next generation, aka Burst. So yeah, if you're wondering, maybe sometime in the future, I don't know, will I go back to Plastic Gen and do Plastic Gen stuff? Possibly. Obviously the nostalgia and everything of it, but a lot of the bays are so expensive and stuff now, and I don't know if I battle with them because the plastic is brittle. But yeah, I don't know, maybe somebody can influence me for it, but I'd love to go back and even watch the show or anything, and we'll see with time. But of course there's so much to do with Burst, Axe, Bakugan Gen 1 and 2, and possibly 3. So much stuff going forward, and also other things as well. I have started a gaming channel as well. I started that back in August of 2023. I'll be adding to that more. So if interested, go and check out my gaming channel. It is Kimbo Gaming. You know, that's the name of it. I got it in the description, I believe. And I also have it as a link on my main page, which I'll probably be updating soon. Maybe adding some more playlists and stuff. Who knows? But yeah, because I added a lot of playlists over like the spring, summer. Maybe I can add some more now. But yeah, and also these playlists being updated, like this one as well, with the story being finished. But yeah, man. So MFB, GG, G freaking G, man. And just sitting and being real, I'm sorry for there not being that many videos or such lately. Life has been tough, you know. Truth be told, if you guys want to support the channel, because I got bills, and also just keeping up with stuff, even watching, it's much appreciated. If you want to become a member and join, it gives you access to some special like stamps and stickers next to your name when you comment on here. Shout out to Omega Kimchi and also Kimbo311 because they are channel members at the current time, and it's much appreciated, guys, and it helps to support things with the channel. Yeah, even if like a majority of you guys like join that membership would be insane, but regardless, it all helps, and you guys even sitting and watching is appreciated in a major way. And yo, as I'm making this video, Night messaged me, but yeah. But truth be told, before I go, just sitting and being honest with you guys about stuff, it has been very rough lately. That's why I haven't been filming too much, trying to buckle down. I found out yesterday that back on October 2nd, a good family friend, a very close family friend, her name was RG, passed away. She came out to my college graduation along with my sister Katie, my best friends Zach and Lee, my mom, my dad, and my grandma, and saw me walk across the stage when I graduated and got my degree from college. Which I also, like, graduation, I showed off like the stage and everything in a skit even back then. So like even that, like just the memories and everything of that graduation, like hits in the heart. But she unfortunately passed away the day after. She, the day after my college graduation, she unfortunately got in an accident with a semi, and ended up breaking both of her legs. But she was alive and worked her way back to where she was able to walk. But unfortunately, after all those years, lost, I think, the battle with that, and she passed away. She was only 40, but she passed away on the 2nd of October. So been sitting and processing that. At the same time, my aunt, her name was Karen, she passed away last week. She was a pivotal part of my very, very young childhood. Like, I remember hanging out with my cousin Isaac, the very beginning part of it. Like, you know, just our first days when we were kids. He was little, he had a little ponytail. And I remember that's where we sat and hung out. It was like when my aunt babysat us. And she had a Sega, and I sat and I played the Sega, and I loved it. I think she's the one that really got me into gaming, because like after getting the Sega, or like playing the Sega, I wanted to get a Nintendo 64 at the time, and my parents got me one, and then I started gaming at 4 years old. And if you've seen the first part, the rest is history. So, you know, this part being like filling in the pieces of the puzzle, and I guess it fits with the theme of like going back and forth in different aspects and everything, kind of like how my brain is, but also like how even these zero-G skits are, or not the zero-G skits, the burst skits are, you know, that you're going to be seeing, and the pieces with them, because it's like scattered throughout 100 years, and the pieces everywhere, but kind of like that. Yeah, she always believed in me. And my uncle Bill was her husband, and he passed away in 2002. He was a part of like a fire squad in the local town, and the town where I grew up. And ever since 2002, she never was the same. And that's something I kind of felt and just kind of knew. Like, the aunt I saw as a kid when he was around is different than the aunt that I saw after he passed. But she always tried to do what she could, and grieving, honestly, seemed like for the rest of her life. But no matter what, when she saw me, whenever she saw me, she always was encouraging. She came to my college graduation, or she came to my high school graduation, not my college one, but my high school one, which is still freaking important to me, along with a few of my cousins. My cousins, shout out my cousins, this is Andrew, Isaac, Joey, my cousin Janine, mom, dad, you know, like everybody that saw me walk across the stage in high school. She was there, and it's like feeling like my youth is dying, passing away. You know, lost a lot of friends and such, even throughout years, in the last couple of years, and family members. And truth be told, my aunt Karen, her funeral is tomorrow. It's the day after this. I'm probably gonna have this out on the 15th. The 16th is the funeral, so I've been kind of just buckling down for that, and also figuring out life stuff at the same time. So that's why I've been like kind of distant and haven't been filming too much. Just getting things together, and of course video is going to return with like Beyblade action battles and everything. Just taking a bit of time with that, and processing that, and getting ready for the funeral. And also with that, during this time period, like a few rough things, like things with life, and also finding out that my grandma, who I mentioned also being at my high school or my college graduation, sorry, I got jumped up a little bit, but being at my college graduation, my my last gram that I have, my grandma Mary, just truth be told, guys, she has the C word, she has cancer. And finding out about that, I talked with her for like a couple hours recently, sitting and just finding out a lot of stuff I didn't know, and just having a heart-to-heart with her. And she made like an African-themed room in her home. And when she came to my graduation, she took a lot of my pottery. I made like ceramics. Like, you know, I worked with a potter's wheel. It's one of the things I did, a potter's wheel. And I would make bowls and plates, and I made them on the potter's wheel. And she liked a bunch of them so much that she took them and she put them as a part of her home, and it inspired her theme for her room in her home, the African theme in her room. I have a huge family. I have a really, really big family. So the fact that like she took my pieces and put them in that room and that inspired her, out of all the nieces and nephews and just aunts, uncles, this family that I got, is fucking insane to me. And it hits me in the heart, man. And I see where like I get my artistic creativity from, even big time. Like, you know, you see it like how you get like certain traits from your parents or such. Big time from my grandma on my mom's side when she was alive. Did a lot of like crochet, like blankets and stuff. I literally crochet. I crocheted in college and I made a blanket. And I know how to like crochet and make like chain stitches. I made them to where like my old room had like chain stitches and stuff around it. Yeah. Seeing where I got on that side, and then even like my artistic abilities, like my grandma, who's, you know, sick now on my dad's side, is she's a very, very good artist, and it even shows like how she sets up things. She has like this really, really cute room that's like a kitchen, except it's full of like knickknacks, like the old school knickknacks, like you talk about like the fake food, like magnets of like hot dogs and like cake and stuff like that. But yeah, all of it. And like I even have a video of it somewhere, maybe I could put in here or something. But yeah, it's crazy. But finding all that out has been really rough, and just been sitting and navigating that. So give me a little bit of time, but videos will be returning and such. But for now, there's this. I'm sure a lot to sit and talk about, and just let me know you guys' thoughts and everything. And I just want to say thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for all of the love and support that you guys have given throughout all of these years. The Metal Fight Beyblade story is officially finished. Hashtag story finished. No more finish the story. It's story finished. And that's how it's going to end, with the story finished video. Maybe one more, like I said. If you pay attention, you heard, you know. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it. I always sat and thought of campfires throughout all these years. So there's going to be one last clip of me sitting at a campfire just thinking about life and everything, because I got a lot of creativity for skits and ideas, even with art, everything. Something about campfires always inspired me. And all the memories I have with sitting with friends at campfires. But yeah, you know, all the years, just campfire, something about them, man. Unlocks that extra creativity and that fire within my heart and soul. Maybe it's me being a late August baby and having that little bit of that fire or something. But yeah, like my birthday, the switching of the seasons, like now, this time period, the switching of the seasons, and the switching of auras with the channel. MFB officially retired and passing on to the future generation. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to slice that like button down below. Let me know how I did. If you're new to my channel, definitely be sure to subscribe for some epic content, because I upload daily. And if you haven't already, be sure to ring that bell by my channel name to be notified whenever I upload a video. I love you all so much. Thank you all so much for all the support over the years and allowing this to happen. Now there are other stories that we got to sit and work on finishing. I'm looking at you, Burst. Burst skits. But yeah, till next time, it's your boy Kimbo signing off. See you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. More pieces of the puzzle to come, and a lot more. And until then, stay awesome and go shoot. Or let it rip. Or in this case, a Bakugan, bro. I guess a little bit, but especially go shoot. Or let it rip. I'm up out of here. The MFB story will always be here, whether it's the skits or the videos. And it's like I said with the end of my skits. What if people forget about it one day? It simply doesn't matter, because I'm honored to even be a grain of sand on this gigantic sea, or this gigantic beach known as the world, and that I was able to make some kind of difference, and you guys saw this grain at all. I love you all, and thank you all so much. Until next time. Hashtag metal fight forever. Hashtag finish the story. Hashtag story finished. Hashtag metal fight forever. Throughout so many years, I just sat by the fire. I don't know. I always just loved sitting by bonfires and just thinking. A lot of different nights where I was down, I sat by the fire. Nights where I was depressed. Nights where I was inspired. Nights where I just sat and thought about ideas, whether it was for battles or a lot of the times for skits and skit ideas. It's one of the reasons why I had the characters sit by the fire. Because I'd sit by the fire no matter where it was, college, home. I always just loved bonfires. As I sit here by this fire, it's ironic. It's like the feeling that I had when I ended off the skits for Metal Fight. And ironically, this is how it's gonna end, finishing the story. The Metal Fight Beyblade story is officially finished once and for all. The final video for it. There were points where I didn't want to end it, but I knew that I had to, like even with unboxings and stuff. That's why you saw like final, even with the unboxings. I had Metal Fight go as long as I could. And the reason why I'm not doing any more videos, obviously besides finishing the story, it could be going back and doing requests and everything, but I don't want to tarnish the legacy of what I built with it and just do so for clout or such, making videos. All the videos that I planned for it are now done. And it's like how I ended the skits for Metal Fight. All the bays had a big fire after the battle. And you have, like, I guess the protagonist of each gen, like Z, Bull, Pegasus, etc., sitting and having their own moment. In character, I said, well, they said, what if this story is never remembered? Or over time, people just forget the story, and it becomes one of those things that, like, a few remember, and it's that it doesn't matter because it'll always be here. It'll always be a part of history, and I'm honored for everybody who came in and watched the videos and enjoyed, who said I helped them grow or be their childhood with Metal Fight, being fans. I always thought of so many ideas sitting by the fire, and it being no different. Just not for Metal Fight at this stage. You talk about for Burst, for X, even hell, Bakugan. But the Metal Fight Beyblade story is officially finished. From April 29th, 2012 until officially and for real October 8th, 2025. I finished the story, man. The story for MFB is finished. It is the true conclusion. In the words of the narrator. But the videos will always be here. The story will always remain on this channel, no matter how much things change and evolve. That's how it goes with anything in life. Evolution, growth, change, learning. The Metal Fight Beyblade videos will always be here. It's literally just like evolution. When one story's done, it makes space for another. And there's still homage. There'll be homage paid with Burst and X, of course, going forward. We even see it with the bays that they made with crossover projects. Or remakes. You'll see references to past story. But as for MFB by itself, Metal Fight Beyblade, the story is now finished. The videos will always be here. The playlist will always be here. And if there are no playlists for Metal Fight, that for certain things that I don't have a playlist for, and you're interested in seeing them, let me know in the comments. I'd go back and make playlists for old Metal Fight stuff. But it's time for the Metal Fight base to step aside and the legacy to be passed on to the future generations, if you will. Which ironically, passing on to the future, which some of it is a past generation, but still, future generations beyond Metal Fight and the future of the channel. And just life. The Metal Fight story may be done, but there's still a lot of story to be told in general on the channel. It's time to burst forward with extreme determination, motivation, heart, soul, will, skill, and energy. Metal Fight's done. Now it's time to spring forward. The only thing that remains is going down in a blaze of glory for Metal Fight. In time, but this is the end. Thank you all for watching. Everybody who's been a fan of Metal Fight Beyblade ever since I started my channel back all those 13 years ago. I guess what, 13 and a half at this point. It's crazy. Still a lot of story to tell. Just to think, that's one story out of many that's done with this channel. And it lasted for 13 years. We're just getting started. Thank you all so much for watching. And this being the true poetic way to end it. With a fire. Thought of a lot of ideas at bonfires. And this is no different. Dazzling glow of the full moon. It really is inspiring, and it has been over all these years. And that's going to carry on going forward. Some hints, sometimes talking in code. Can't let you guys know everything that's going on. Stay tuned. It's going to be exciting. Hashtag Metal Fight forever. It was always live on. It will always be a part of Beyblade history, and the effects will live on forever.